This Coke Zero Sugar 400 Betting Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHM.
Drivers, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in, everyone, to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. And this is the point of the show where I just go ahead and give the show to Cody and allow him to take it from here. It is Super Speedway Racing. So, Cody, the floor is yours, buddy.
Super Speedway Racing, Rod. We better get into the bets if we want to get this all done in an hour. So first up, just kidding.
Oh, yeah, we are back on Daytona. That is Cody's favorite form of racing.
You know what's crazy, Rod, is I was like, I'm going to go a little bit lighter, not give out so many things. And I'm filling it out. And I feel like I went light, but then I look at the dock and it doesn't look like I went light.
Listen, here's the thing about this, though, right? I mean, we continually tell you that it's a buffet. Those longtime listeners are getting tired of hearing about the buffet. But at the same time, it's like, would you rather have a show that only gives you like 3 bets and then calls it good? Like that's not what we are. We're here to have some fun, talk racing, and load you up with so much stuff that Costco can't even keep track or can't keep up with us.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a super speedway, right? We give this speech every time. If you've been a long time listener, you know, we're 481 episodes into this. You've probably heard it once or twice, but if you're a new listener, because we continue to get new subscribers every day on the YouTube, shout out to you guys. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe. We appreciate it. But this is Super Speedway Racing. It's Super Speedway Betting. I personally look forward to it. It's a lot of fun. I have a ton of fun. I place a lot of bets, but they're all very small bets. They're all long odds bets. And it's much like Xfinity last week. If you listen to that show in Michigan, that's basically what we did. A lot of bets, small, you just put a little bit on it. You hit Alfredo 16-1. It washes the day, right? Not like we were up big because of that, based on not hitting a bunch of other stuff, but that's what you're hoping for. You go in expecting to lose it all. If you come out ahead, sometimes Corey LaJoie hits most of the car lift and finishes 4th in Daytona 500, and things happen. You have a great day, right? That's what you're looking for. That's what you're hoping for. And it's just, on a normal week, it's so like there's pressure and there's not pressure, I don't know, maybe is the right word, but it's like there's things that should be more predictable, right? You should be able to get some more of the bets right. At a super speedway, there's a lot of stuff you could put into it, and we're going to give you a lot of numbers and tell you who's good on super speedways and who's not, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but it doesn't, because it's going to be a shit show. There's going to be wrecks. Guys that are very good on super speedways get caught up in wrecks. Guys who usually aren't good somehow avoid stuff, make it to the end. That's how it goes. That's what makes it a lot of fun. And Daytona is always a fun week. I love betting on super speedways, and I'm glad we're here for another one.
Even the drivers will tell you that they don't know what's going to happen. Like that's the indicator for me that everybody's handicapping or approaching super speedways the right way is that even when the drivers get on there and say, yeah, man, we don't know. I mean, it's Daytona. Anything can happen. Anybody can win. Anybody can finish top 10. Like, if the drivers are saying it, then you know that we're not just trying to cover our ass by saying, oh, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. Because if the drivers don't know, how the hell are we supposed to know? So we make our educated guesses. We have some fun with it. Just like Cody said, we give out some longer shots because that's really what happens in this instance. So we are back for the second run at Daytona, the fall run. I guess we can't even call it because it's still the summer. That's the thing.
It's getting close enough to the fall, I guess. But only 2 races left in the regular season, and obviously, this has traditionally over the past few years been the final race of the regular season. It's not. By the way, before we get any farther, this is a Saturday night race, so don't wait till Sunday morning to place your bets because you're going to be too late. The Truck Series gets Sunday. They get the spotlight on Sunday, which is going to be fun. We'll talk about that later in the week. But Saturday night, under the lights, Daytona, massive playoff implications. As we know, if you're a non-playoff driver and you win this, assuming NASCAR doesn't take it away from you, you punch your playoff ticket, right? And obviously there's guys on the bubble that are really fighting this out, and every single point's going to matter. They're going to be racing hard for stage points. They're going to be racing hard for points at the end. And it's going to be really exciting and set up what should be a great finale Darlington next week for the Southern 500.
Cannot wait for it. Also can't wait to get my hands on some of the new merch that's coming out for the SGPN. Right now, everything in the merch store, 10% off if you use the promo code football. I'd recommend you getting yourself the weather's about to cool down. So there are some nice Racing Gambling Podcast hoodies out there that'll keep you warm throughout the winter and show off your support for this show in the off season. And you can get a coffee mug to drink some nice warm coffee out of. There's a ton of stuff in there. Make sure you get there. 10% off right now, everything in the store. Plus, college football kicks off this week. Tune in to the Sports Gambling Podcast and also the college football experience for week 0 picks and all of your favorite futures. Okay, as we said, Cody, this is the fall race at Daytona, or the late summer race at Daytona. Coming off of what was, essentially, like you said, a 2-mile mini super speedway without the super speedway package. It's a 400-mile race. It's 160 laps around this 2.500 mile paved track for the even 400 in this Coke Zero Sugar race. Look, we're going to handicap it like we always do, but we're also going to have some fun. There's some entries in here, Cody, that we're not used to seeing on a normal basis either.
Yeah, we do have a full 40-car field. 40 drivers will qualify, and they will all make the race since we do allow 40 cars. Notable drivers, Shane Van Gisbergen returns in the 16 car. Go ahead and bookmark that name. We'll be talking about him here in a little bit. Austin Hill is back in the 33, another additional RCR car over there. Let's see. Joey Gase is in the 44 car. It was about to be 2 weeks in a row of me making a case for Joey Gase, Rod. But that 44 car, I don't think I want to touch that. So that's a New York racing team. It's such a bad car. I don't know that I would touch it. So just tossing that out there because he does have some attractive numbers, especially for as decent as he is on super speedways. I think it'll probably be tougher for that car to keep up with the field. Parker Retzlaff is making his second career Cup Series start. He's going to be in the 62 car for Beard Motorsports. Of course, they're a long time, they just enter all the super speedway races basically. And BJ McLeod bringing the Live Fast number 78 car back. Of course, we know BJ's good on the super speedways, Rob.
Nice. We do know that. And we know that he's look, long shots. I don't think either one of us are going to talk about him, but it's always fun to have these guys back out there, just kind of rolling around, filling out the back of the field.
These guys really, Joey Gase is going to need the ultimate chaos. It's going to need to be 2022 rain takes everybody out. Maybe he could get a top 10, but outside of that, BJ is live for a top 10. All of these guys are live for top 10s. And we're going to talk about some of them in a little bit because the chaos exists in these races. And that's what makes it so much fun.
Indeed. Chat was already blowing up before we got in. Walter saying restricted play racing. Well, restricted. Yeah. A lot of great bets out there. Let's win some money. His long shot, Eric Jones, 40-1 to win.
We're going to talk about some Eric Jones today.
Yeah, we will. CT317 says, what's up, fellas? Nice call on Red Dog Cody. Do you think plus 600 for his championship is still playable? Well, I think I know the answer to that one.
I don't. What do you think the answer is, Rod?
I think you would say yes. I think
plus 600 is tough. we talk about that being tough for guys like Kyle Larson, even. I mean, and maybe I'm spoiled because I got plus, more than 20-1 at the beginning of the season. I doubled down on 14-1 a few weeks ago. Now it's nice to see that he's down to plus 550, plus 600 in some places. Nice CLV for us. But it's tough to bet anybody, because the thing is, you got to get all the way to Phoenix now. And then at Phoenix, you have to have your best race. Can they do that? Obviously, they're on a fucking tear right now. I've loved him before the season. That's why I've been talking about him so much. Only 6-1, though. You almost maybe wait and see if he gets almost eliminated at some point and that number dips, and then he ends up getting to the next round and resetting, and you got a decent number. But 6-1 is pretty low and starting to get pretty tough, I think, for betting a guy like Tyler Reddick. As much as I love him, part of the reason I loved him so much is because of the huge number we were getting. As a favorite now, I love to see it, but I don't know if it's worth betting on.
Well, you love to see it, like you said, because you got it at a very, very good price for you. So, all right. Walter wants to know what your opinion is on the appeal tomorrow in Dillon. Do you think he has a chance?
I think he does. I think I put it at 50-50, right? I think it's a decent chance right down the middle. It'll be interesting. I mean, the way he's sort of been lobbying through the media and picking the words that he says correctly, I think that they are going to go to the nth degree of finding every single possible media clip out there and guys talking about it and previous examples. And this is the first time, I mean, unprecedented to keep the win but take the playoff eligibility. Why is it? I think that there's NASCAR might have made a mistake there. Why take one and not the other? If it's not so bad you couldn't take both, I think they have a case. I would say it's still more likely that NASCAR wins and nothing has changed, but I don't think that it's completely out of the question that it's overturned and suddenly he's back in the playoffs. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about the playoff picture being completely different again for the Cup Series.
So in my opinion, if they were going to, they should have just taken it all away. They should have just not left this up to interpretation. It should have just been all or nothing.
And I think that's RCR and Dillon's biggest argument is this wasn't so bad that you didn't take both away. Why let us even keep the win? And maybe the board's like, you're right. We'll take it away, and Denny Hamlin has another win. And then that's a whole other story, too. I don't know what the possible outcomes are, how much, because I know NASCAR changed the rules post the Hendrick, like where they just completely changed what the penalty was for that louver deal. So I don't remember. I think it's either basically you keep the penalty or you take the penalty away. Like, I don't think that they can change what the penalty is, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes. You assume it'll be ruled in NASCAR's favor, but I think that they have a case to be made.
This is
one of those. I love a case to be made. Right?
Oh, 100%. But I also think it could be one of those things where you probably should have let sleeping dogs lie. I mean, because what if they say, oh, you know what? You're right. We probably should have just, take the win away too. Like, okay. I don't know if there's a possibility of that, but I mean, there's always a possibility if you reopen a wound, right? It's like, dude, you should have left it alone. And now here you are, with a bigger wound than you would have had if you would have just left it alone.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think you're spot on.
All right. Was there any other news to get to? I feel like it was kind of a relatively quiet outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, we had the driver announcements last week before the race with the Stewart-Haas Haas cars, rather. We never got a chance to talk about that. So just quickly, if you haven't heard, the Haas Automation Xfinity Series team, of course, we know Cole Custer's our Cup Series driver. Their Xfinity Series is set now. The 00 is going to be Sheldon Creed, moving over from JGR. And then they're going to get rid of the 98 and replace it with the 41. And that will be Sam Mayer moving over from JRM. Mayer, of course, was rumored to be going one of the front row guys or maybe one of these other rides. Obviously, that doesn't seem to be the case as he's got this deal now. So that's a strong lineup. I mean, Creed is battling for wins each and every single week. I still think that he's going to be in the championship battle at the end of the day. Mayer, we've seen what he's been able to do, especially on road courses. But even outside of that, little inconsistent this season, but he's got a ton of talent, and that's a strong lineup for that team next year. You kind of assume, I feel like I'm less concerned about the Xfinity program not missing too much of a beat, since they're kind of just leaving that program as is. They're just changing the name from SHR to Haas Automation. But with the Cup Series team, you're cutting from 4 to 1. You're changing a lot of things. A lot of people are leaving. That could be a whole nother story. We'll talk about that more later. But I think the Xfinity Series team shouldn't miss a beat. And really, you're going from Custer and Herbst to two very good drivers to two other very good drivers. I don't think you're going to miss much of a beat there. And I think that's pretty good gets for the Haas Automation Xfinity Series team.
Haas just wanted to add to his second place trophy case. That's all he wanted to do. He said, bring in the second place guy.
Who can give me the most second places in the history of the Xfinity Series? And Sheldon Creed raised his hand.
I can deliver, sir. I can bring all those second place trophies to you. Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be fun. I mean, it's a good landing spot for both of them. I know that Sheldon Creed was frustrated, and I think Gibbs Racing altogether is kind of frustrated. It wasn't the season they wanted, so why not shake things up again, right? You move from the 2 to the 18 now to the 40. No, right?
It'd be the 0-0 and the 41. So
0-0 and the 41. So, all right, I love it. I love it a lot. I think what I love more is Daytona bets. Let's get to them because there's a lot of them. So we'll come back after the break and start lining you up with our bets. But first, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry, or you can play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball Mania. Best Ball Mania is live now with $15 million in prizes. You can use specials and boosts now on all flexed entries. Going to give you our favorite underdog plays later on this week, so make sure you stick around for that episode. Sign up now in the meantime with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Just imagine the regret that you'd feel if you won your office survivor pool, but you didn't even enter the Circa Survivor contest. Don't do that to yourself. Just don't, please. And if you don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football, Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go. Hang out with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, August 22nd through August the 24th. Use promo code SGP15 to save 15% on your hotel room for sign-up weekend. You can sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. Use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with a proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP and get a free hat. Well, Cody, let us begin our quest to give the bets out for this Coke Zero Sugar 400 from the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona, Florida.
All right, Rod. I loaded up this first box, so I'm just going to rattle them off. Martin Truex Jr. Over 12.5, meaning worse than 12.5 finishing position, minus 115. Over on the Caesar Speakeasy. Rod, 12.5 is what that number set at. Daytona 500, he finished 15th. Last fall here, he finished 24th. Last spring in the 500, 23rd. And then 15th before that. Oh, we had an 8th place in there, then 13th, 29th, 25th, 4th, 32nd, 22nd, 35th. 7 in a row, he's been worse than this number, and 10 of the last 11 worse than 12.5. Seems like a pretty easy case. Oh, yeah, he's also retired. If you haven't noticed, been doing very good here lately. Talked down on him a lot, so I have no problem fading Martin Truex here. Also, general rule of thumb, I'm going to for sure try to get some underdog picks out later this week. I know I slacked on that last weekend. Sorry about that. But the general rule of thumb this week is going to be play worse thens on underdog. And then on the Caesar stuff too, take the overs because, again, we know how super speedway racing is. We know how people can wreck out of these and anybody can finish anywhere in these. And I think that's important. So also, Rod, some stage winner bets over on Caesars that I like. This is, you got to go into the Caesar Speakeasy, all the way to the other tab. You'll find these over there. Stage 1 winner as an odd numbered car, minus 120. Stage 2 winner as an odd numbered car, minus 120. Here is my thoughts. Let's look at the playoff bubble around here, right? You've got Ty Gibbs. He's in an even car. But then Chris Buescher, odd car. Ross Chastain, odd car. Bubba Wallace, odd car. Those guys are going to be pushing very, very hard for stage points because this isn't, last week at Michigan, we saw Bubba forego winning the stage to come in and pitch for the big picture, right? You're not going to do that at Daytona. If you have a chance to get any points, go fucking get those points, because you might get caught up in a wreck at a super speedway later. These guys are going to be racing hard for it. Okay, so we've got that. Well, then let's look at the regular season title race, right? There's 4 cars within 32 points at the top of the board. These are your 4 cars likely to win this. They're all going to be pushing for more points here. Again, same exact scenario. The 45 car, the 9 car, the 11 car, and the 5 car. So of the people, now, obviously, everyone wants the extra playoff point. Everyone's going to be racing for the points. I understand that. But the people who need points the most out of these 7 cars or 8 cars, the 4 on the bubble and the 4 battling for the drivers' regular season championship, 7 of those 8 cars are all odd-numbered cars. That just seems way overloaded in the odd column for cars that need to get points and are going to be more focused on points than everybody else. I like that, so I'm taking Stage 1 winner at -120 and Stage 2 winner at -120, both on the odd side of things. And then, Rod, there is a commandment in super speedway racing. The commandment, the only commandment, fade Kyle Larson. He's fucking horrible at super speedways, and he sucks. He's so bad, they're not even giving us any head-to-heads against him for me to fade this week because they lose every single fucking time. Stay tuned in the Discord, the article later this week. If I find those head-to-heads, I will be betting against Kyle Larson. But I found a way to bet on Kyle Larson in this. Caesars has a couple of different drivers this way, but laps led. They've got Kyle Larson laps led at 5.5. The over is 4-1 for Kyle Larson. Rod, every time I bet a head-to-head against Kyle Larson at Super Speedway, I tell you, he's going to look really good throughout the race. He's going to lead laps. He's going to run up front. He's going to be mixing it up. And you're going to be like, this guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. Kyle Larson looks like he's great. Well, for this bet, that's fucking wonderful, right? 4-1 just to lead 6 laps. Love it. He's not going to finish the race well because he never does. 1 career top 5. I think we're in like 46 or 47. I didn't even look this time because I didn't have stats to fade him. But he's been real. 1 career top 5 finish on super speedways in over 45 starts. We'll put it that way. Not been good. Daytona 500, he led 7 laps. By the way, that's over 5.5. In his dual race, he led 20 laps. He has no problem getting out front and leading laps in super speed. The finishes is the issue. He just can't seem to get to the end. Last year's 500, he led 6 laps, 9 laps in the dual there. If you count the dual races, because there's still races here where he can get up, lead the pack, 5 of the last 8 races, he's led more than this at Daytona. So I like it. You also go back to Atlanta earlier this season. He led 17 laps there. Not good finishes in most of those races. He's probably not going to finish well. That's how it goes. Sorry, CT. I see you with your F your commandment in there. 1 for over 45. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. But 4-1 to lead more than 5 laps, basically 6 laps or more. I do like that for Larson. So probably the first time in history I bet Larson on a super speedway. Probably the only time I'll bet him on a super speedway. But I know that was a loaded first box. But I got a lot of bets to get to today and a lot of stuff I like, Rob.
Well, and I love that one. The Larson one that's a beautiful bet. I think I love that one more than any of other bets that we have on this entire board because that one seems to me kind of like a lock because Larson is going to lead laps. He always does. He always finds his way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say lock, but all he has to do is lead 6 laps at some point throughout the race.
Yeah.
Like I mean, that's not, and at a super speedway where different people are going to lead throughout the day. Again, is he going to finish? Well, probably not, but he can lead laps for sure.
Yeah, I meant 200 laps, not 400 laps. That's 400-mile lap, or 160 laps rather. All right, my first bet is SVG, baby, SVG, in that 16 car. His top 10 number is 14-1. I know that this is not one that's probably likely to hit, which is why it's 14-1. But SVG, he's shown that he can do some stuff in ovals in the Xfinity Series now. He's starting to come into his own. And you got to love the way he looks. Now he's stepping into the 16 car, which, for him hasn't been all that great this season as 20th place out there in COTA. But we also know what happened to him there. He does have 1 super speedway race here. That was a 28th place showing at Talladega, but he did lead 3 laps in that one. So he was around the front of that race before he got really introduced into how the world of super speedway racing is done out here in the NASCAR Cup Series. But again, overall this season, Shane Van Gisbergen is learning. He's banking it. We talked about it all season long with him on these ovals. He's getting better. He's learning. He's putting together what it takes to actually have good finishes in this thing. He's got 3 wins. Obviously, they're all road courses, but 5 top 5s and 6 top 10s in the Xfinity Series. He did get a 4th place at Indianapolis a couple of weeks ago there. And then Michigan, he got 17th. He didn't really look good, which was frustrating. But for Shane Van Gisbergen, 14-1. I'm okay with that. Daytona, AJ Allmendinger piloted this 16 car to a 6th place finish at Daytona. We know the car's fast enough, right? We know it can do it. We just got to see it happen. So I think, 14-1 to have some fun on Shane Van Gisbergen. That's bet 365 CT. That's where I got that one at. So I know there was a lot of other places that had him a little bit lower, or maybe a little bit lower, but yeah, Shane Van Gisbergen, top 10, 14-1 on bet 365.
Yeah, no arguments from me here. Actually, really, really like this. SVG has been really solid. We even saw it last week in Michigan, right? 16th place finish, but he was running better than that, recovered even from that jumping the start penalty or whatever that was, getting out of line on the restart there. And he's just been really solid. He's a smart race car driver. We saw the wreck avoidance last week. Absolutely incredible. Got those quick reflexes. Again, not a ton of experience on super speedways, but a veteran driver, knows what he's doing and learns very quickly. 14-1. If you hadn't put him in here, I would have made sure he was on my side of the card. So I like it.
Indeed. All right, we'll continue down our card, but first let me tell you about Rhythm. Football season is here, and the college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most to you. Rhythm's going to build a custom model around that, or just let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting. Rhythm uses AI projections for MIT data scientists, and Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. Just go over there, find all those, or just put all your money on Army and Fresno State football, and then, go ahead and that's why you're going to go. I don't care. Whatever. Just kidding. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. I hate buying tickets. I cannot stand it. It's not fun. It's never a pleasant experience. Sometimes I don't even know if I'm getting the authentic tickets because I'm buying them from a third party, or I think I am. I don't know. It's all so stressful, but that's all gone now because Game Time is allowing me to buy tickets without the stress, and I get guaranteed authentic tickets. I'm never having to worry about whether I'm getting ripped off by somebody else, and I'm not getting ripped off by them because they're lowering the fees and giving me better prices. I've got flash deals that I can use. I got zone deals I can use, all in prices, so I'm never surprised by the time I check out. I'm getting the lowest prices guaranteed, and I get the ticket coverage for the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We'll continue down the card. Cody, what is the next bet?
Yeah, next up for me, I'm going to go over to the top Ford market. Top manufacturer, they've really cut down on the super speedways. The top 10's not always as sexy as they used to be. The top 5's even not as sexy as they used to be. Top manufacturer, still a way you can get in at bigger numbers. And again, you don't even necessarily have to be in the top 5 or top 10 to hit that. We've seen even a couple of weeks ago where the top finishing Ford was 11th place. We've seen even at Daytona before where an 11th or 12th place is the top Chevrolet with all the Chevys in the field. That's going to be how it works. Top Ford market, again, where everybody's kind of on a much more level playing field. This is a place to look. So top Ford, I'm going to go to Todd Gilliland, 25-1 over on Bet365, and Justin Haley, 40-1 over on Bet365 as well. I really like both of these guys. Todd Gilliland, 8th place at Talladega, 26th at Atlanta, not bad there. You have a 35th at the Daytona 500, right? Things can go wrong. You can get caught up in wrecks. He was 12th last year at Talladega, 16th at Atlanta, 10th at Talladega last year as well. Also had a 7th place finish at Talladega. He's had some really good runs. I will say Daytona has been his weakest of the 3 super speedway tracks for sure, but he's continued to improve and get better, right? We've seen this crazy streak he's been on of obviously bad finish last week and a couple weeks ago where he just got caught up in wrecks, which can happen. That for sure can happen, but he's been a very strong race car driver, continues to seem to kind of mature and move forward. I like to see that from Gilliland at 25-1. And then Justin Haley, he is a former Daytona winner, Rod. There was some outlying circumstances there, but hey, he did it. He got that win. But very solid super speedway racer. 20th at Atlanta, 26th at Daytona. Not the best of finishes, right? But getting to the end, again, that's important. 6th place at Talladega last year, 8th place at Atlanta last year. Had a 21st at Daytona, a 7th at Atlanta in 22, 12th, 15th, and a couple other super speedways there. He won 2 out of 3 Daytona 500s. That'd be pretty impressive. Won 2 out of 3 at Daytona in 20 and 21 in the Xfinity Series. He's kind of the former Austin Hill of the Xfinity Series. So he's been very strong in super speedways in the past, kind of on and off in the Cup Series, but he should be strong. You think about how strong Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher usually are. He's going to be, they've got that RFK partnership. He's been kind of rumored maybe be a third RFK car eventually or whatever the case. He's going to be working with those guys. I think he could find himself in a position to be the top finishing forward. So Todd Gilliland, 25-1, Justin Haley at 40-1. I get it. Keselowski's good. Buescher's good. Logano's good. Blaney's good. All of these guys can wreck. All these guys can have problems. That's the kind of stuff that happens. And so I do like both these guys at their numbers to be the top finishing forward at the end of the day.
Yeah, again, it's just chaos. So this is all you build for is chaos for sure. Speaking of which, Boji Joe saying, did you guys see when the race tweet spreadsheet looks like whomever starts 27th, 28th, and 36th is the play over the last 8 races? That just goes to prove the people at the beginning of the top of the pack can wreck out, and that 26th place car all of a sudden is in the right place at the right time.
Something to note too, starting position literally means absolutely nothing at Daytona. You can go from first to last in a split second. You can go from last to first in a couple of seconds. So, yeah.
And we know that guys like Denny Hamlin love to just pull himself out of the fray and hang back for a while until everything settles out again. So Jessica saying, hey guys, Laura saying hello. Boji Joe asked, would either of you take Haley over SVG? We don't really like head-to-heads in super speedway.
Head-to-heads in super speedways, I don't generally love, but against Larson, I will take.
Yes.
Haley and SVG. I mean, if you're going to target any super speedway head-to-heads, like the plus money side is generally the way to go. Or if you want to fade one specific driver, like Kyle Larson, I like that. So,
indeed. All right, I've got another top 10 for you, and that's young. Stop me if you've heard this one. Carson Hocevar, top 10, 7-1. He's done this in back-to-back weeks. He's finished 10th or better, and you're giving me this at 7-1. I love it. Carson Hocevar, 10th place last week at Michigan, 8th place the week before at Richmond, 12th in Indianapolis, only 2 spots outside of the top 10. Carson Hocevar getting better week after week. I love Carson Hocevar to get a top 10 this week as well. Here's the thing. You look at his truck series starts on this one, 5th place in 2021, 9th place in 2022, 12th place in 2023. I get it. I know it's not, the best, but he did start in 9th in that one. Love Carson Hocevar this week for a top 10 again. It's just something about him in this 77, just turning it up a notch and figuring out that he's a good driver. I mean, he knew it in the truck series. He needed a lot of time, I guess, to get really, well, I don't say a lot of time, but not even a full season. He needed most of the season to realize that he was getting better, and he's gotten better, and he's actually pulled it together very, very nicely over the last few weeks. But he hasn't necessarily been bad all season long anyways, too. Look at what were we looking at? Talladega, where he finished 17th. Started 35th in that race and finished 17th. We know, and we've talked about it several times over, that if you can finish 17th on a super speedway, you can finish 10th. Really, all that means is you just jump out of line at the right time, catch the right surge, and you move from 17th to 4th. Like it's really that simple. You just have to find the right momentum and the right line at the right perfect time. And if he can do that, then I'm sure he'll be able to jump into a top 10 this week. And I love 7-1. That's such a huge number. Go find that on Bet365 too. Yeah, I mean, I'm all about Carson Hocevar top 10 this week.
Yeah, no arguments for me here. I mean, he's obviously been on a hot streak. We've seen Spire have good cars on super speedways in the past. We know how good of a driver he is. So, yeah, I like that. Matt Jones checking in. Got to be quick to the odds these week. You're going to see them, and then they're going to be gone. That is a very good note. They're going to be move quickly. They do fast on super speedways, especially the bigger numbers. This is the race where most people are in play, which, yeah, I agree with. And then CT, looks like the Larson lap sled tab is down, at least in Tennessee. So I'm logged into Tennessee on Caesars right now because I'm not in a legal state, so it'll let me choose my state. If you go to the speakeasy, you got to click on the race name, and then on the top tabs, you got to scroll all the way over to other, and then there's a bunch of, like, Larson's in there, Bowman, Dillon, Priest, bunch of guys for lap sled, but Larson's the top one. I am still seeing it there. And then he also said Caesars has top 20. Where are you seeing that at? Because they do.
Speakeasy.
It is in the speakeasy.
Oh.
Okay, let's get to the break. Do we have another break?
No, we're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay. Well, let's see. Oh man,
I'm not even.
There is some top 20s. They're not. I mean, it's all minus money, but you got some minus 110s at the bottom. Might be worth looking at. So maybe we'll revisit that later. But moving on, Rod, I'm going to go over to the Toyota market now. I'm going to start with John Hunter Nemechek. First of all, I'm going to take him a top 10 at 5-1. I do like that. I think that's a good number. I'm also going to take, again, to that Toyota market that we speak of, especially on the super speedways. You go to the top Toyota, there's only, you got what, 7 Toyotas in this. I'm going to take the 2 longest shots. Bet365 has John Hunter Nemechek at 30-1, Eric Jones at 16-1. Now between these two guys, you only have to beat the other, was it 2, 4, 6? So there's 8 Toyotas. So now you've got these two guys. You only have to beat the other 6. Again, there's only 6. So they can be taken out quickly. They're also going to be all raced together. We saw the last time we were at a super speedway, if you remember. I believe it was John Hunter caused the wreck, but there was 4 Toyotas just racing out by themselves. One wrecked, and there goes 4 Toyotas out of the race. Now you've only got 2 left or 3 left, whatever the case is. So I like that. These bigger numbers, top Toyota, 30-1 is crazy. This is a small group, 30-1. You love it. And Eric Jones at 16-1 as well. I know that Toyota should be good. Danny Hamlin should be good. I'm going to talk about Reddick later. Wallace should be good. They should be good, but things can happen. And you go back and you look, John Hunter Nemechek, 7th place in the Daytona 500. Nice, strong run by him there. 21st at Atlanta, he made it to the end. Was out of the Cup Series for a while, but if you go back to 2020, his last full-time season in the Cup Series when he was in the 38 car, 11th place finish in the fall here. Actually, 11th place in both races, so 11th in the fall and 11th in the 500. And then if you go back to the Xfinity Series where he was full-time last season, 2nd place in the spring here, good Daytona racer. Then on the Eric Jones side of things, 8th place in the 500, 18th here last fall. He was 8th and 11th last year at Talladega. Or at Atlanta, rather, 6th place at Talladega last year. Good, strong super speedway guy. Again, just making a large group, 8 drivers. You get the 2 with the longest odds. They only have to beat the other 6. So you like to see that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I love Eric Jones, but I'm so tired of getting burnt by him. Like, that's my only hang up.
He cashed our under 18.5 last week. I know he didn't hit the rest of the car lift we had on him. He's going to win the Southern 500 next week. But hey, it's a numbers game, right? It almost doesn't even matter who it was down here at the bottom. You should take them because of the number. But then it turns out it's 2 guys that have actually had some pretty good runs on super speedways in the past.
Yeah. Well, again, this is super speedway, so we're throwing everything out there, seeing what sticks. Up to and including this next one. This is not going to make you feel good at all. Josh Berry, top 5 at 13-1 over on Bet365. There are no stats that are going to convince you that Josh Berry is going to be a top 5 car at the end of the day. He's only got 2 top 5 finishes all season long. None of them have been on a super speedway. In fact, Daytona earlier this year, he finished 25th, but to his credit, that was his very first, maybe not his very first, but his very first super speedway race in that 4 car. And then at Talladega, he finished 16th. So there's some improvement on a super speedway. Atlanta was a bad day for him. He finished 29th. But look, this 4 car and this team, this SHR team, they're riding out into the sunset, right? They're now at this point just sort of waiting out the rest of their time on this earth. Why not throw everything they can into a super speedway race? Because guess what? This is probably the best chance that they have to win and get into the playoffs for the rest of the season, right? I mean, the super speedway is the wild card on the schedule. Everybody circles it and says, we can win here. So they're going to throw all of their resources behind their cars. Josh Berry should benefit from this. And at the end of the day, I'm not asking him to win. All I want him to do is run around the top 5 and finish there. 13-1 seems like a pretty good number to sort of take a bet on that. He wasn't the greatest super speedway racer in the Xfinity series either, but he did have a top 5 in 5 races at Talladega to his credit. So, I don't know. We'll see how this 4-car looks. It's run well. That's the problem too. It's run well at points over the last several weeks now, where it's been within the week. It's been top 10, fringe top 5, and then something happens, right? Last week was a bad week for him. Like Cody said earlier, got 2.5 laps into the actual race. But again, this is an instance where he's a good enough driver to be able to be in the mix. He knows how to at least draft, and this 4-car has been good historically. And Kevin Harvick has been good in that car on super speedway races before. Just got to hope they could put it together. This is a long shot for a reason, but Josh Berry, I think, can get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily have a positive case to make for Berry, but it's a super speedway. Anything can happen. So hard to argue against it, Rod. Next up for me, let's go ahead and take this little trip out into suspended belief and ride with me. Parker Retzlaff making his second career Cup Series start. He drove around in the tricycle that is the 66 car just so they would allow him to race in this race. But he's not in that 66 car anymore, Rod. He's in the 62, the Beard Motorsports car. This car has been for years with Brendan Gaughan and Noah Gragson and Austin Hill just coming and showing up at these super speedways, and it continues to be a good car and can be right there in the mix. I also feel like this is setting up. You've got the 2 RCR cars, of course, that are maybe Austin Dillon will be back in the playoffs by then. Who knows? Kyle Busch looking to get in the playoffs, needs a win, right? You add the 33 car with Austin Hill, so these cars can all work together. The 62 car, I'm pretty sure, is prepared in the RCR shop. You've also got the 2 Kaulig cars, which are basically an RCR partnership. Oh, these guys are all going to be working together, and I love it. So back to Parker Retzlaff, top 10, 20-1 over on Bet365. What the biggest numbers you're going to see is basically Parker Retzlaff along with Gase, but Gase is not in a car that I think can get it done unless there is the ultimate amount of chaos. Retzlaff can get this done even if there's not massive chaos. Massive chaos help him, of course, but no starts obviously in the Cup Series on super speedways. Xfinity Series, though, this young kid has been fucking good. 3rd at Daytona, 5th at Atlanta, and then last season 4th at Daytona, 7th at Daytona in the other race, 7th at Talladega. Really, really good for Parker Retzlaff. All he has to do is finish in the top 10, 20-1. I love this. And then Austin Hill, who I just mentioned in the 33 car, top 5 for him is 14-1. Top 10 number is just not quite big enough, but we know how good Austin Hill is on super speedways in the Xfinity Series. He's going to be working with the likes of the Kyle Busches, the Austin Dillons, who are really good at these as well. Top 5 for him at 14-1, I feel like is a good number.
Yeah, the Parker Retzlaff one, I'm pretty excited to see if he can do it. I mean, you talked about it too. He's been that guy in the Cup Series driving the the Xfinity Series rather, driving the not as good equipment, right? And he's hanging. So
and that's the thing, is like he's not in great equipment. I mean, it's good equipment, but he's done really, really well, especially on the super speedways. It seems to be a talented young kid, the nerdiest looking NASCAR driver I've ever seen, I think. But dude's getting it done, especially on these big tracks.
From one nerd to another, I see you, brother. I know exactly how that feels. All right. I'm going to move into the top 3 market, and I'm going to take William Byron as a top 3 car. 5-1 for the guy that's won this race 2 times in his career, once in the fall, once in the spring. In fact, he has a 2nd place finish in the fall of 2019 to add on to that. The only thing I will say is that this one is a hold your breath, because you want to talk about checkers or wreckers? That's exactly what it is for William Byron on this track. 7 DNFs in 13 starts. It's been more wreckers than checkers. But of the ones that he's actually finished, he's won 2 of the 5 that he's finished, had 4 top 10s, 3 top 5s. So William Byron's going to be good, right? I mean, he won the Daytona 500. I'm not asking him to win this one. I'm just asking him to get into the top 5. Something needs to happen for this 24 team. They are on the wrong end of momentum heading into the playoffs. What we thought earlier in the season was going to be a runaway for William Byron has kind of come to a screeching halt. He's the Max Verstappen of NASCAR. He started the season off red hot. The field has caught up to him. His team's sort of taken a nosedive. I say nosedive, but you know what I mean. It's not necessarily as strong as it was to begin with. And now he's got to fight to get back to where he needs to be as far as momentum is concerned as they go to the postseason. This is a great opportunity to get back on that, especially on a track that he won earlier this season. They got to just bring that same car back. Hopefully it stays somewhere in the same vicinity that it was earlier in the year.
There's no re-race in those Daytona 500 winter cars, Rod. Straight to the museum for those ones.
They steal it. They go back and they pull the heist and they bring it back.
The Daytona 500 museum heist in theaters, December 2024.
I would write that screenplay. That'd be fantastic. You know, the kids that steal the tests the night before. No, they
replace it with another car covered in confetti. Looks just like it.
They probably cloned it though, and you know these guys, they can get their 3D printers and print out cars that look exactly like the one that just won. But yeah, William Byron, top 3 car. I think he can get there plus 500 on Bet365.
Yeah, I think the number's right. I've got more thoughts on Byron in a bit that we'll get to, but I think it's a good number for a guy that's been really good at super speedways. Won the last time we were at Daytona, obviously. So you like to see that. All right, Rod.
I still have not gotten a actual like sound bite for this. I need it.
You should probably hurry up because there might only be one more chance to ever use it when we go to Atlanta later this year. But my friends, welcome into Corey LaJoie's corner. Give me the car lift on Corey LaJoie. He ended up upside down earlier yesterday. Whatever. Yeah, that was. Geez, the race was yesterday. Kind of crazy. Anyways, ended up upside down. It's not been good for Corey lately. He got fired on his off week. Things are just not going right. But Rod, there's one chance to redeem himself. One more chance to end up in victory lane. One more chance to get in the playoffs. You think that's not going to get him a ride next year? It will get him a ride next year. We're going to ride the Corey LaJoie Car Lift Express. We've been to Daytona one time this season, and it's already cash for us big. He finished 4th in the Daytona 500, 10th place last fall, 16th place in the 2023 Daytona 500. There's a 30th before that, but 14th, 6th, 9th, 21st, 8th, 6th. Very, very good at Daytona. That's not even including how fucking good he is at Atlanta. Talladega doesn't necessarily live up to it, but had some good finishes there as well. We're riding the Corey LaJoie train all the way from the top. 15.5 is his over-under over on Caesars. One of the few drivers we're going under on, minus 115. The top 10, plus 300 on Bet365. The top 5, plus 800. Top finishing Chevrolet over on Caesars, 20-1 and 50-1 to win for Corey LaJoie. Rod, all in on Corey LaJoie. Everybody's off of him. The scent has gone cold. They forgot how good he is at super speedways. He's made a lot of stupid fucking mistakes lately. I'm not going to deny that. As much of a LaJoie fan as I am, this is the week. He's going to be in play at the end. He's going to have a chance to win and get it done. And he's going to cash at least some, if not all, of this car lift for us.
Okay. That's all you get from me.
That's what everybody else is going to think, Rod. And that's why we're the ones that are going to be on him this week. He always, look, he's Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith got top 10s last week. Corey still has never finished in the top 10 outside of a super speedway. But you know how many times he's been in the top 10 at super speedways? This is his chance. This is when he shows up. This is when he gets it done.
All right. I will go with you, though, as Boji Joe says, the scent has gone cold. It is true. Yeah, look, okay, that's fine. You've convinced me that Corey LaJoie deserves a look. How much that look is, we'll determine that later. But yeah, we knew it was coming. So I guess this is one of the things where we knew what was
I might have two opportunities left, Rod. This time, and when we go back to Atlanta in the fall, these could be the last 2 times I ever get a chance to ride the Corey LaJoie car lift. You think I'm not going to do it? You're absolutely fucking wrong.
Brian Twine saying, as long as the 7 doesn't do his best Ryan Preece impersonation,
which he might. You know, it's seems to happen more than it doesn't lately. But nonetheless, I'm all in.
I want to know what a roof ride is like. What the odds are on a roof ride? That's what I want.
Well, it's crazy. He's never flipped in his entire career, and he's been upside down twice this season. That just kind of encapsulates how bad everything has gone for Corey LaJoie.
It certainly has. All right. Well, look, if he actually does well and if he wins this race at 50-1, that's great, because I will also be covered in my next bet, which I'm bringing back the winning car number under 12.5 plus 135. I love that it's plus money. Normally you don't get plus money for this side of the fence. And normally you just don't get plus money on car bets under the certain numbers or over the certain numbers. So, I mean, you know who you're getting under 12.5, right? You get Ross Chastain, you get Cindric, who's got a super speedway win. You got Dillon, who's got a super speedway win. You got Josh Berry, who we're hunting for a top 10 finish. You got Larson, you got Keselowski, you got LaJoie, you got Busch, you got Elliott, you got Gragson, you got Hamlin, you got Blaney. Woo! That is a heavy front part of the numbers scheme. So again, like I said, at plus 135, that's fantastic. Yeah, you got a ton of other people on the outside of this, but I mean, you got playoff drivers, you got guys hunting for wins that want to get into the playoffs. You know, you got hungry drivers that want to make moves. So at plus 135, I'll take the under 12.5 side of the spectrum for the winning car number, because to me, there's a lot of great goodness in that one. Folks that have already won at super speedways, folks that have already won at Daytona, and want to do it again. So under 12.5 for me at plus 135 is the winning car number.
Yeah, it's hard to argue. I mean, there's obviously a lot of guys under there that are big time super speedway guys. So, I don't generally argue with you on your car bets unless it's the Xfinity Series. So, not going to do it this week.
Indeed. Although, Brian, we're preaching to the choir on this one. Books could make bank on driver to retire over under laps completed markets.
I mean, God, it's just like so fucking obvious. Why would we not have things like this? We know the laps led this is a great addition, great element, right? We talked about that earlier with Larson. I do like that. They've got options on that for quite a few different drivers, which is nice. But give us some more. Boja Joe wondering about the weather. We're trying not to think about things like that, but it'll probably rain. Jessica says no rain. So Jessica, you're hired. She's now the official weather meteorologist of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with reports like that.
Indeed. Yeah, that's a dirty word. Rain is a dirty word around here. So, all right.
It is.
Cody.
All right, Rod. I'm
time to
taking
get
a
some
page.
totals,
I mean, I've already pretty much done this before, but expanding it a little bit, I'm taking a page out of our buddy Phil. He does the shotgun units when we come to super speedways. I like that. You just sprinkle a bunch of tiny little bets on a bunch of different guys to win. And I think that is the way to go about this. And generally how I attack it, I maybe added an extra guy or two this time. But Corey LaJoie obviously gave him out 50-1 as part of the car lift. But I'm also going to add William Byron at 18-1. Look, he won the last time we were out here. You just talked about him a few minutes ago. As far as the top 5 bet at a great number, I think that it's good. Look, Byron, he won the Daytona 500, first of all. So already good finish there. 8th place last fall, the last time we were here. So good finishes in the last 2 times. He's won this fall, quote unquote, race before in 2020. His first career win was here at Daytona. So we know he can get it done. And he's been a solid driver. Look, they seem to have taken some time off, right? They maybe were trying some stuff, whatever. Comes back to Michigan last week. Nice second place run. Good, strong day from him. Pretty solid, right? So I think at 18-1 for the guy who just won last time we were here, you got to get a little bit on William Byron. Tyler Reddick, 22-1. There's not a driver hotter in the series than Tyler Reddick right now. Oh, by the way, he won at Talladega earlier this season. Not always been the greatest super speedway guy in his history, but he has learned a lot lately on how to not, like, he's almost doing the opposite of Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson doesn't know how to quit, how to let up a little bit and not take everything all the time. Reddick has seemingly found that. That's why he's now leading the points, why he's become one of the favorites for the championship. But Reddick has figured it out. The win at Daytona earlier this season, also won one of the dual races earlier this year, so he knows how to get up there. Fall of 2022, he finished second place here on his way out at RCR by literally playing defense and pushing Austin Dillon to the win after everybody wrecked out of that race. But that should have been his win. He played the good teammate card and did it. So he's been really good. And then, he's just on fire here lately. So you like to see that. Give me Tyler Reddick at 22-1. Tyrone Gibbs as well over in the Toyota camp, 28-1. This could be the week. Brian checking in. I have to think Toyota is all about pushing Gibbs or Wallace to victory lane, though, if possible. I do agree with you there. I looked really hard at Bubba. I wanted to do it. I couldn't quite pull the trigger, but I can't say he's a bad bet. I do like the Gibbs side of this. They have that chance to push Gibbs to victory lane. I think they will. This could be it. This could be the first career win, lock himself into the playoffs. He was 10th at Atlanta, 17th at the 500, 9th place finish at Atlanta last year. He had a chance to win Talladega last season, ran out of fuel. I think we were in overtime or near the end of the race, runs out of fuel and has a bad finish. But he was 13th place in his first career Cup start here. Was a good day. He's won a plate race in Xfinity Series before as well. So I love some Gibbs. All right, Rod, I'm almost done. Todd Gilliland, 50-1. Talked about him earlier, how much I like him. I think he's a good bet this week. We know that the front row cars can do it. They've done it with Michael McDowell. They've done it with David Reagan before. Chris Buescher, maybe he doesn't have a win. I think maybe he just won a Pocono. But either way, they've always been good at super speedways. They'll be good again. And Justin Haley, 75-1. With Gilliland and Haley, these are their last chances to get into the playoffs. Both going to be in good cars, both in that Ford camp where guys could, get pushed if they're in the right opportunity and right chance to get these victories. So Byron, Reddick, Gibbs, Gilly, Haley, and LaJoie. Shotgun unit, sprinkle them out, just little bits on each one, and pray for the best one. Rod, who is left for you to pick? They're wondering, Boji Joe in the chat. Also, Boji Joe was wondering why no Kyle Busch love. Well, Rod, I'll tell you why there's been no Kyle Busch love yet. And your turn on the floor.
Yeah, I got one shot. My sniper move right here. Cody's got the shotgun. I've got the sniper rifle on Kyle Busch. Boji Joe, you were waiting. That's buddy. That's where I was at. Kyle Busch, 18-1. He said it already. This is his last chance to get in. I mean, look, Kyle Busch, he knows that his chances of actually even, first of all, winning a race this season are coming to a close. There's very few chances left for him to win the race to keep that streak going, let alone get into the playoffs. This is it. Kyle Busch is not going to point his way in. He needs to win this race. He's got to go out. This is probably his best shot. He was so close at Michigan to actually making noise. He finished fourth. Boji Joe telling me to car lift the dude. Look, this is it. His best shot for me is to win this race. Because if he doesn't, then he's not going to get a top five. He's probably going to.
It's win or nothing for Kyle, right? You got to go for it all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no like, oh, I'll settle for a top 10. No, he's got to win. If he doesn't win, he's going to wreck. That's really where this is at. He's going to go for that win, or he's going to wreck out for sure. So, yeah, and look, overall for Kyle Busch, we know that he's one of the best racers out there. We know that he has been just he's got that win streak. He's got the opportunity. He finished fourth last week. Overall, a decent super speedway racer in his career as well, especially here at Daytona. 12 top 10s, 8 top 5s in his career. Again, this is just a matter of desperation for Kyle Busch. This is a desperate 8 team. This is a desperate RCR team. They need to get both drivers in. Well, actually, it doesn't matter now because they need to at least get their best driver through to the playoffs. They're going to work really hard. Kyle Busch doesn't have a lot of enemies, so he's got some folks that he can work with out there. That if he decides to make a move late in the race to try to pull it up, somebody will go with him. So yeah, Kyle Busch 18-1. That's such a big number for him too.
Yeah, and like Austin Dillon loves Kyle so much, and orchestrated the whole him coming. Like, he's going to be focused on helping push Kyle. Austin Hill, I guarantee, has been given one order this weekend: do everything you can. Do not leave Kyle Busch's bumper, and get there. Like, get him there. They're going to be trying really hard, and that could go different ways, right? And we did. He almost won the 500. Until we got into overtime. I believe he was leading at the end of regulation in that one. He's been good. Obviously, was it Atlanta or Talladega where he was involved in that? I think it was Atlanta where he was one of the 3 wide at the end there, just missed it by a hair, right? So I love Kyle Busch. I was going to put him in there as well if you didn't beat me to it. So TK, going back to his comment, doesn't think Gibbs is good at teamwork, usually behind those who could help a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I guess we need a bigger sample size maybe, but yeah, I think that this could be a week for Gibbs, and I like the number that he's at.
Yep, I agree. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over the bets for this Coke Zero Sugar 400, as well as if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the graphic that we put together for this one as well. Cody started you out with Martin Truex Jr. over, which means he's going to finish worse than 12.5 at -115. Also tossed out the stage 1 winner is an odd number car at -120. Stage 2 winner is an odd number car at -120. And Kyle Larson to lead over 5.5 laps at 4-1. I said the SVG would be a top 10 car at 14-1. Cody said that Todd Gilliland would be the top forward at 25-1. And Justin Haley would be the top forward as well at 40-1, or at least one of those two would be the top forward. I said Carson Hocevar would be a top 10 car at 7-1. Cody gave you John Hunter Nemechek as a top 10 car at 5-1. Top Toyota at 30-1. And then also Eric Jones as a top Toyota candidate at 16-1. I said Josh Berry would be a top 5 car at 13-1. Cody gave you Parker Retzlaff as a top 10 car at 20-1. Austin Hill as a top 5 car at 14-1. I said William Byron to be a top 3 car at 5-1. Cody gave you Corey LaJoie's car lift, baby, under 15.5 at -115. A top 10 at 3-1. Top 5 at 8-1. Top Chevy at 20-1. 50-1 to win the race. If he does that, he will cash my winning car number bet under 12.5 at +135. Cody said that William Byron 18-1, Tyler Reddick 22-1, Gibbs 26-1, Gilliland 50-1, Haley 75-1 are his shotgun sprays for this race. While my singer sniper bullet was Kyle Busch at 18-1 to win the Coke Zero Sugar 400. All right.
I just come in with the shotgun blast, and Rod sits back there and has his one little sniper shot, much more accurate, I'm sure.
I know. Well, let's see. I got Moji Joe saying I can't read all of Cody's bets. Yeah,
you might need the magnifying glass for that one.
I got to get the font bigger, I think, or I just give him his full other slide. I'll just put my slide, his slide, my slide, his.
Rod will just have like giant letters on one slide, and then mine will still be small on the next one. But hey, reminder. I know it's a lot of bets, nice and easy. Going into the week, you're going to lose them all. When you come out on top, you come out on top, and you love
it. Indeed. All right, we have the full slate this weekend. We've got Xfinity, we got Truck, we got the whole thing, and then we'll have our
Xfinity on. And again, reminder: Cup Series on Saturday night. The Xfinity's on Friday night. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about those. Daytona under the lights, and then the Truck Series gets full Sunday slate to themselves. They're out at the Milwaukee Mile, so different kind of racing and track there. That'll be fun to talk about. DFS later in the week. Let's fucking go.
Indeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and send you guys off. You guys are going to have thumbs that are sore after all of these, so we got to get you going now so you have time to relax those thumbs before we come back tomorrow with more bets. So, Cody,
we're running it back tomorrow, baby. Follow me, Rod, over on the X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Ton of stuff. NFL stuff, PLL, F1, NASCAR, all coming out. F1 Gambling Podcast. F1 returns this week as well. That should be already sitting in your feed. Make sure you go check that out as well. And back tomorrow with the Xfinity Series.
Yes, sir. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's the in-between media folks. Check out the Back Road this Thursday. I'm hosting with my buddy Tino. I've never met him before, but he's already my buddy. I don't care. It's always fun to talk NASCAR with new folks. So catch me there. And then, of course, Sportsbook Review. I'll have some stuff coming out for football season as well. Back tomorrow with more of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We love all of you for joining us in the chat. Continue the conversation on Discord. And, we'll definitely see you tomorrow. Until then, everybody, let's go racing and let it ride.